Okay, I think I got my hearing on. And we are early. Okay. I will be right back. I'm going to go fill my water jar up. Okay, I'm back. It's 6:58. We got a couple of minutes here. Let me go find my little ditty that I usually say. Uh-oh, it's lost. All righty, sorry about that delay there, folks. We are at 7:02. I am Scott Weldon with South Carolina chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, and this is South Carolina NORML's Cannabis Conversation, which we hold every Wednesday. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Let me close that window up. Thank you again for joining me, everybody who's here on the call. Thank you to anybody, or welcome to everybody who's here on the call. Welcome to anybody who may be watching us live on our YouTube live stream. Also, welcome to anybody who might be watching on YouTube later on as a recording. When I mention YouTube, I do like to mention that we are not monitoring the comments in the live stream on YouTube. So if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave them down below in the chat off to the side, wherever it is on your device. And once YouTube's done rendering the video, we will come back, we'll visit the page and try and address any questions, comments, and or concerns that you have. All right, so again, welcome to everybody that's here with me tonight. This is, again, the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation. Normally, our schedule's gotten switched up a little bit in the past couple of weeks here. What we've been trying to do or started to do for 2022 is move the public meeting for NORML to, excuse me, to the second Wednesday of the month instead of the third Tuesday. It was just kind of confusing things. And what we do on that particular day is we run through a certain agenda, what's going on federal level, state level, locally. And we did not have that particular meeting last week. Last week, instead, we had sort of a wrap up to our press conference and lobby day. Let me see if I get that frog out of my throat. So yeah, we ended up sort of switching up the schedule. So tonight our agenda will be the normal monthly meeting agenda that we have. So we'll kind of start off up at the top with our national news, what's going on nationally. Going to get the agenda up in front of me just so I don't wander too far. National legislative news. Latest news nationally, two pieces are kind of made national news at the moment. One is, let me click the right buttons here, the Safe Banking Act. I believe that was posted back in February 4th, so just a little bit, about a week before our event. But anyway, the House has advanced the Safe Banking Act as part of the America Compete Act. Still trying to move this bill forward through the Senate. This is the sixth time that members of the House have advanced the Safe Banking Act to the Senate, either as an amendment or as a standalone piece of legislation. The act, which is offered by amendment as an amendment to the bill by sponsors Ed Perlmutter, let me let Joey in here, allows banks and other financial institutions to work with state-licensed cannabis-related businesses, something they're currently discouraged from doing. Basically what that is in states that have already legalized for medical or recreational use, the businesses there are not allowed to, the banks are not allowed to work with them because it's still federally illegal. It's funny the trickle down on that, because even here in South Carolina, where when I started trying to form South Carolina or Low Country NORML back when we were still a regional chapter, the first bank we applied to turned us down. They turned us down, basically stating, and we're like, hold it, we're a nonprofit. We're just an advocacy group. We're not selling marijuana. We're not handling marijuana. We're not in the marijuana business. We're in the we're in the free speech business. We're in the advocacy business, trying and make laws right, things like that business. But we got shot down. I mean, they kind of put us on hold. They sort of sent us through their legal department. finally they're asking us these like questions about, well, would you accept a donation from a business in a legal state? And I'm like, or a legal marijuana business from another state. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if we get a donation, we get a donation. Oh, okay. Click. No, never mind. You might end up getting drug money. We can't do business with you. I'm like, so anyway, it reaches outside of that business, outside of the legal states. It even affects us here. It affects advocates. It affects a lot of the folks that want to try and sell CBD and stuff like that. You'll see it quite a lot in social media where a lot of those folks, they're censored. They're not allowed to advertise because they're advertising a product that goes against their whatever they are rules. And so anyway, this is the 6th time that this has passed, either alone or as an amendment, out of the House and to the Senate. It's never gotten any further than that. Let me see if I can read down here just real quick, and then I'll share another link with you. Actually, I'll share this link with you first. So basically, as this is saying, the new political director, Morgan Fox at National, states the Safe Banking Act is only the first step toward making sure that state legal marijuana markets operate safely, efficiently, and fairly. But unfortunately, the sad reality is that those who own or patronize these currently unbanked businesses are still nonetheless recognized as criminals in the eyes of the federal government. The America Competes Act now advances to the Senate for consideration. In the past, Senate leadership has either refused to move the Safe Banking Act as a standalone bill or has permitted the Safe Banking Act language to be removed as an amendment from other legislation in conference meeting, a scenario that most recently occurred in December. And if you remember, in December, the Safe Banking Act had been attached to a defense funding bill. They removed the amendment in committee in the Senate, in conference committee. You keep running up and, running into a wall, all I can say on this, first I want to go check that other link real quick, see if it gives me it does. I'm going to share one more link, and it's one of those, as you know, an action alert. Go and contact your legislator, let you know your senators, Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham, here in South Carolina. Oh, did I not drop that in there? That you would like them to move the Safe Banking Act forward. I'm going to do that right now because I have not done this one yet. Okay, I'm going to let it sit there to ask me questions. Second on my list of stuff before I move on from Safe Banking Act, does anybody have any questions or comments on Safe Banking Act? Okay, the other thing that we kind of have going on federal level right now was an announcement by, let me get this one open so I can share the link with you. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has announced at a press conference this past Friday, which actually was a couple Fridays ago, a timeline for reintroduction. The forthcoming legislation is to be released, that was released in draft form last year, July, should be released in April. I was actually hoping to see it come out by now-ish, February. But, legislation moves slow, and frustratingly slow. Like I say, this was released in draft last July. This is the one I call COA Act, CAOA, the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act. Again, this was released last July as a legislative draft. They had open comment period, I believe it was through 1st of September or somewhere around in there, at which point they closed the comment period and went back to the drawing board, more or less, to kind of hopefully, enact some of those drafts or some of those comments into the new legislation. Then in April, hopefully, it will be introduced as actual legislation. And as many as you know, this was originally last session, the Senate version of the MORE Act. They've just changed the name as the redrafting, and a couple of new co-sponsors came on. So we have that. Also, federal level, nothing's been going on with it, but there is, and I'm just going to take a peek at it here quick. The House version of the MORE Act. I don't think anything new is on that. I'll just check it real quick. Yeah, nothing since September. Again, there's the House version link here if you wish to write your legislators on that one. That would actually, if you're in my district, would go to Nancy Mace, which is our other piece of federal legalization legislation to mention real quick. Let me share this link. Nancy's bill, the States Reform Act. Did I get that right? States Reform Act, yep. Is again, a House-sponsored bill that actually includes some reparative justice language in there. And I believe what that one needs at the moment is more sponsors. Let me see if I can find out how many sponsors she has on this right now. Actually, what this bill needs is it needs sponsors and it needs a companion bill. So like the MORE Act has now COA, they are basically companion bills, very similar to how the Compassionate Care Act has the Senate version, Tom Davis's version, and the House version, which is the Herb Kurzman version. Same thing, federal level. It is beneficial if you can have a companion bill in the other house, either in the House or in the Senate. So, and also sponsors are important. Let me just find Nancy Mace's here. I don't even have a bill number in front of me on hers. I am opening way too many tabs on my computer, so for some reason it locks up or freezes. Hold tight, I'll be back. But my computer does not like when I do that. I get too much stuff open and running, and it just freezes up and dies. All right, let me see. Co-sponsors, 4. So on Nancy Mace's bill, she currently has 4 co-sponsors: Representative McClintock, Tom McClintock in California, Don Young and AK, that's Arkansas, isn't it? Oh, you have to, that's Alaska. Okay, I always have to ask myself on that one. Don Young out of Alaska, Brian Mast out of Florida, and Peter Mayer out of Michigan. So she has 4 co-sponsors on that. What she needs is more co-sponsors and a companion bill. Let me see if there's any other comments or mentions on it real quick. Referred to subcommittee on health. So it's been moving around from subcommittee to subcommittee to subcommittee. Last time it moved was to a subcommittee on health. And that was January 6th of this year. So let me just take one more peek. I'm going to close this up. Any questions on any of those three federal legislation legalization bills? Okay, I'm going to real quick respond to a private message here and kind of check what's going on in chat. Okay, let me close some of this federal stuff up and just make sure I've got most of what I wanted to cover there. Oh, I don't want to close that News 4 link that you shared with me. That's a good little story. I like that. All right, I think I got most of them here. Yeah, nothing else new has really moved, so we're not going to talk much more about federal level. State level marijuana legislation, what's going on? And most of you already know, so I'm not going to get too crazy on talking about what's going on right now. But the link that Ina shared a little bit ago does sort of mention the Senate bill S-150, Compassionate Care Act, and they voted out of the Senate over to the House. Basically, yesterday it got assigned to the 3M committee. I'm going to backtrack and see if I can get the proper name of it. The Military Municipal Affairs, Medical, Military, Public, and Municipal Affairs Committee. And that's the House committee, chaired by Representative Leon Howard. And I have shared on our Facebook page a list, a photograph list, basically, of the members of that committee. Unfortunately, I can't do an action alert for everybody to just go on an email directly to these folks because the action alert system that we utilize will send it to just your legislators. And many of us are not constituents of some of the folks on that list. Some of them are local, but the best way to really do that would be to go to scstatehouse.gov. That's scstatehouse.gov. Fill in your, excuse me. I'll give you that link right down here in a second. All right. Go there. You can go to the House of Representatives list, find those particular legislators, and then just message them directly through the system here. I'll show you real quick on share where you would click to. Come down here to where it says representatives. Click on that one. Boom, there they are. So you'll have to kind of track who you're looking for. Just scroll through. There are 124 of them, but pretty easy to find. Let's see who we have as a real quick example that might be on the list here. Do I see anybody? Lynn's not on the list, but I saw her there the other day. But what you do is you just go here, click on where it says send message to representative. It will pop you into then a kind of a chat messaging box. Fill in the funny little. Actually, these ones aren't too bad on their characters. Some of them are so horrible I can't even read them. But that's how you do it. Just, what I usually do is make a document on a text document of some sort and then copy and paste it in here. Now I just lost my window again. See when it does that. All right. I'm not sure what, Joey, you're referencing here, and do we have reciprocity?
He's talking about in the House with S-150.
For switching on their bill, or?
I guess just getting it pushed through like they did in the Senate.
Yeah, what I just got from it was just, actually, like I said, I just watched that little video clip. I'll share that link again here in case you weren't on when Ina shared it with us. And they say it may be a few weeks before they even start to, I guess, debate it in that committee. Let's see if I can go back and hear that part. Yeah, I'll go ahead and share that little clip it with you. Let's see how that shares. Can you see that?
You just can't hear it.
Okay, you guys are saying you can't hear it. I apologize. I don't know if I can, if the sound shares with this thing. Okay, I'm not seeing a way to make sure I fix that. Maybe it was on the share method. Share sound. There's the button I didn't hit. All right, let's see if we can go back, because this guy was.
Affairs Committee in the House.
Isn't a reason not to pass this bill.
The bill is with specific conditions.
Nation's best interest. What is radical about that?
There's a significant number of proponents and a significant number of opponents, and we're hearing from both sides.
Representative Jerry Carter of Pickens County sits on what's known as the 3M Committee. He says it could be weeks until debate begins.
We're interested in seeing where we need to move this bill and how it would best represent the interest of citizens in South Carolina, particularly my area. So, there'll be a lot of engagement. I've been receiving emails about this bill for 2 years now.
The committee would then have to send it to the full House, where some political experts believe it faces challenges.
Most of the religious groups in South Carolina are against medical marijuana, and so are the law enforcement groups and the Attorney General. So the bill really faces an uphill battle in the House, and I assume that a lot of representatives probably don't want to go on record in an election year on something quite as controversial as medical marijuana.
If passed in the House, it would head to the governor's desk. Governor Henry McMaster has not specifically said whether he would sign the bill.
All right, and there you have it, gang. I'm trying to get back to it again. There we go. All right. Joey, I'm going to have to look into that. I can't answer your question there. I'm not aware if the Senate version included reciprocity or not. That thing got so sliced and diced. I don't know what's left in it. It seems like, and excuse me. As like I say, as much as we want to see a medical bill move forward, we're very lukewarm at best on this particular bill. And I think that's part of why we're trying to change up our focus and move forward with more of a decrim action. Otherwise, state level, that's like it. That's what we have marijuana legislation wise at the moment. Does anybody else have any comments or questions or thoughts that they'd like to share on state level legislation? What's going on with it, where it might go, what we should do? Excuse me.
I'd definitely say we need to work on decrim because that medical bill is I feel like it's been defeated, in the bill itself.
Yeah, I can't argue that point at all. Even if it passes, it seems like it's been defeated, like you say, in the bill itself. It's been so whittled down that really, I don't even know how they can call it a medical marijuana bill, because what little bit of tinctures, balms, stuff is
Anybody else there?
I'm here. I'm still here. Oh, wow.
Well then, any thoughts from any of you guys?
Hey DJ, I kind of disagree with the statement about the South Carolina medical cannabis bill being defeated, because I wholeheartedly believe that once this thing passes, it might not be what we want, it might not be the best it could be, but it will be easier to make changes once it passes. If nobody else is really pushing like Tom Davis, and until somebody else is willing to stand up and really fight, we need to. I'm supportive of what he's doing.
Oh, I'm supportive too. Don't get me wrong, and I do agree with the statement that any gain is a good gain. But I used to work in the medical field, and people in rehab, going after serious surgeries and stuff like that. And the way the medical bill's set up, 90% of the people won't be able to afford the medication, because it's all self-pay. And that's the part that just burns me up, because the people that it's supposed to reach and help, they're not going to be able to use the program.
all right. I think I'm back. Thank you for holding down the fort there, Josh, and sharing your info. I agree. They've whittled this down so badly that there's going to be very few select people that are going to have access to it. and it's going to be, as I keep saying, twice as expensive as they could get something on the street. Most people that are really in need, and many of us don't have lots of money to throw at them, they're going to continue the same old way they have been because they won't be able to afford it and they won't want what's available, I don't think, as far as the tinctures and the oils and stuff. But we'll see. So that's where our focus, and I think I should move into kind of our next piece of the agenda. Go ahead and close this window so I don't get lost here. Is what's going on locally. And locally, we've been doing a whole, well, this is chapter business, but local chapter business-wise, we haven't been doing a whole lot, as you know, with COVID going on the past couple of years. Our event, getting out to events, has kind of come to a halt for the most part. We did have joined up in Columbia at Soda City back in mid-January, and of course, then our attention got turned to our press conference and lobby day. I want to go back and double check, make sure our Facebook is, there it goes. Okay, it's still running, I think. Let me just check that. Yep. And I must tell you, the day after the press conference, I was wiped. I don't know, it was just all that anxiety kind of building up and stuff. I think I slept almost all day the following day. And then my weekend just went to kind of crap. The next morning I woke up and something, I don't know if I slept wrong, but my back went out. So I spent the next kind of 3 days hobbling around, as my wife says, walking like I had a stick up my ass, just trying to get my back into shape. Pretty good now, little tinges, and finally was able to start kind of thinking again today, or actually yesterday, and start getting a couple things going. First goal I had after we were done with our press conference and lobby days really was to reach out to all the speakers that were there for us and send them a little thank you, thank my team for what they did and the involvement they had for helping me coordinate and get the appointment scheduled with the legislators that we did see. Our secretary, Vaughn, she kind of took charge at one point. We were over in the house and she goes, we don't have any appointments with these people. Let's go see this person. Let's go see. And she started just kind of going door to door and dropping our one sheets and our cannabis booklets into their little slots on their doors in their offices, so that even if they weren't there, they'd know that we were there. So that was a good thing. One thing I still am working on, I have my team, Kristen and Vaughn, working on right now, is sending our follow-ups. We still haven't compiled coordinated the two lists together that we need, but we're sending them an email follow-up, either thanking them for meeting with us, or if we weren't able to meet with them, just mentioning that we're sorry they weren't able to meet with us, but here's some documentation that we wanted to make sure they had to know a little bit about why we wanted to meet. As I mentioned, I think last week, my senator did not want to meet with us. I think she thought we came to talk about Senate Bill 150, which we really didn't. Our focus was not the medical bill, it was decrim. But we were told by her staff, she had already made up her mind, made up her decision, and wasn't interested in discussing it any further. Mind you, with her knowing my senator's opinions and position on cannabis, I'm sure that anything I spoke to about decrim really wouldn't have gotten too far either with her. Shane mentions, yes, extremely exhausted. A lot of it, I think, is just some of it, to me, I felt like, a psychological exhaustion, just because it was that planning, it was the prepping what to say. And I'm not good at putting stuff down on paper. I'm better at just rambling on to you. As you guys know, I can ramble on for a while about weed, but write it down and plan a speech, not so easy for me sometimes. But anyway, so we're working on the follow-up with getting back and just letting the legislators, either thanking them for meeting with us or, sorry you couldn't meet with us, here's some info. And previous to our press conference and lobby day, some of the participants, such as the ACLU of South Carolina, and also, as you know, we've had him on our Kevin Caldwell, almost forgot his last name there, from Marijuana Policy Project. I've been sort of doing a little communicating with them because we want to start talking follow-up. What are we going to do next? What's our next goal or goals? And Marijuana Policy Project right now is actually trying to collect stories. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. I heard there was a deadline of the 22nd of February on collecting some of these stories, but that's not the one I wanted. There's the one I wanted. Very similar to how Cruel Consequences is sharing stories. I'll share the first and the second link with you. First link is one of the stories that MPP has from this is a story from MPP's Director of Social Equity and Inclusion. And then the next link is actually, let me get the right part of it. Okay. Okay, I see Shane's responding as well that the 22nd is the deadline on this. I didn't realize there was a deadline, but they're putting together a report. And the other reason I know that is I got another email from our state policy director from National mentioning the deadline. So we're going to be pushing this pretty hard in the next couple of days. And like I say, it's only a couple of days till the 22nd. When you think about it, we've got 5 days, 6 days for people to respond, share their stories. That's one of the reasons I do want to touch base with Kevin on this. Is this something that we can still be able to utilize some of the story collection after the 22nd? Because we were having a conversation with our team, again, with Vaughn and Kristen on our move forward here. And I'm not exactly sure, again, what MPP is doing with this, but we want to start collecting stories from South Carolina specifically, where I see this form from what I've been through. You check off what state you're from. And so they're collecting nationwide. We, again, want to collect specifically for South Carolina. So I'm going to see what are their data we can glean from them. If they have any South Carolina stories, at least one from Shane. And then we want to start putting together our own. And we're still in the process of deciding how best to do it. We were talking about kind of plagiarizing their form and creating our own in our Action Network. Or I think the other way, and I think the way we're going to kind of start moving it is we'll create a form to ask people who want to be involved. And I don't want to put an exact name on it right now, but we're starting to talk about sort of the cannabis conversation one-on-one edition kind of thing, where we will do a Zoom one-on-one with that person, or maybe even a couple of interviewers, but I'm probably assuming one interviewer and one person to tell their story, so that the interviewer can help kind of guide through the story. In that particular case, if they want to have anonymity, they can use a picture of a flower or whatever it might be on their profile, or just not enter a name. We go in and rename and not enter a name, and then turn off their camera and their screen will be blank. Because again, we want to protect people's anonymity. Good point. I want to bring up while we're talking about this was Cody Callerman on his portion of on his speech on our press conference last week, talked about how many people, and he's a lot referring to vets in his talk, but how many people are afraid to. He didn't phrase it, I don't think this way, but to be out of the cannabis closet in fear of retaliation from local law enforcement or things of that nature. And it is a reality in portions of the state. And I've had a number of people tell me over the years, Scott, I can't support vocally. My boss will find out I could lose my job, or I'm in such and such a profession, I could lose my certification or my licensure. So there's retaliation that comes from speaking out about cannabis. I mean, I don't know how you have a First Amendment right to free speech, and yet they have all these built-in discriminations for this plant. You
are so true. You are so right on about that, Scott. You are. I mean, that is a topic in itself, because I think that's why a lot of these representatives and senators don't hear from people that want it. They probably mostly hear from people that don't want it because they're afraid to even send emails or speak up. I mean, I've had
people say
it's the same thing
I've
about
had people
tattoo,
tell me they won't join NORML because. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's kind of the same. I thought about it. I've talked about this issue among my family and friends and people, and they say, "Oh, well, Mama, you remember when tattoos were kind of a thing too?" This Southern Baptist and that guy in the W4 interview, he was right on too. And it's a Southern Baptist, area. They have a lot of Southern Baptist convention and people. They have a lot of influence too. And so a lot of stuff has been taboo. And how do we overcome that? I guess trying to find ways of, like you said, getting out of the closet. It's like a good example.
Yeah. And like I said, people are afraid. I've had people come out and say, Scott, I won't join NORML. I'm afraid that I'll get on the list somehow. I don't know how they think joining us. And, we might have a list of who our members are, but we don't share it with government agencies necessarily. And then again, people may or may not reach out to their legislator because, again, if they feel that they reach out and they have their name attached to it as they're talking to their legislator as a constituent, they might get on some list. This one here called me about marijuana. Keep an eye on him, And the one thing I've been hearing a lot in the news lately is, this cancel. I can't even say it. Cancel culture. And I'm going, hold it. Isn't that what you did to cannabis consumers like back in 1970 through the 60s and into 1970 with the Controlled Substances Act? And 2 years later, when you refused to remove it after the Schaefer Commission report, completely canceled out that culture. Make it so that, we don't want them to have jobs, make them pee in a cup because we don't want cannabis people to be able to have a job. Anyway, so that's my rant. And that W4 story actually, kind of hit upon some of the battle that we have ahead of us if we're going to battle for decriminalization in the state is trying to remove the demonization of this plant. I mean, any of y'all that were listening to the debates in the Senate last couple of weeks heard our actual legislators talking about the gateway theory. Yeah. And hold on, I think everybody who's on the call has heard my little pathway theory. So it all starts with sugar. Caffeine, nicotine, prescription pharmaceuticals. But no, our legislators are still hooked on the propaganda of, as Kyle says, reefer madness. We're all Cheech and Chongers. I've got to wonder, what their opinion of is a country like Canada that has already legalized. Are all of their citizens Cheech and Chongers? Are the doctors and the lawyers and the legislators in Canada all Cheech and Chongers? You know, it's all part of the cancel culture, discrimination that I like to call it what it is. It's government sanctioned discrimination, and
I heard pothead a lot.
What's that, Josh?
So I heard them use the term pothead a lot, and I took offense to that.
Yeah, and they'll use derogatory statements. I mean, I would love to be able to, every time a legislator, is caught having a sip of their favorite alcoholic beverage, just call them an alcoholic, wino, an inebriate. W.C. Fields. Who was the one I was thinking about the other day? Foster Brooks. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember Foster Brooks. He was a great drunk comedian. But anyway, to me, that's the equivalent of calling him a Cheech and Chong, is a Foster Brooks or a W.C. Fields, which are very heavy drinking, comedians. But Willie Nelson coming to the upstate in April? Oh, yeah? I didn't hear that. That would be worth a trip to the upstate. Talking about the upstate. Let me go back and see if I can find this real quick. I got to go open my Twitter, which means I hope my computer doesn't take a shit again. That should be the only shit it takes tonight. I mean poop. Let me get into my messages here. There we go. Oh, let me see if I can find this. Matt. Joey messaged me. Do you remember if that was Twitter or Instagram that they were sharing that info on today on that letter? All these different oh, there it is. I see it. All right, let me see. I don't know how many of you have Twitter. I'm going to share a Twitter link with you today. This is a letter that was sent in by Matthew Hutchinson Cassett. I don't know the last name. I know it was Matt Hutchinson. He's running for some office up in the upstate. Anyway, I didn't read the whole thing. I did actually read it as he was writing it out, and I have to go back and look at some of this. But he's got some efforts going on in the upstate here, and kind of a battle with his local sheriff. And basically, he talks about South Carolina law enforcement collecting $17 million in petty cannabis crime fines last year, and all kinds of good cannabis-related information. Let me see what comments are on here. Oh, and I think some of this it's in response to apparently a post that local sheriff had put up about marijuana during the S-150 debate, and probably some of the, again, you'll have to read it because I'm not sure what all he addresses in here, but I think he addresses the propaganda shared by the sheriff up in that area. And we were actually, these folks do a show called the Swamp Fox podcast. Let me go back one. Yeah, the Swamp Fox Podcast Network. I'll share that link with you too. We were on there. That's not the one I was looking for. We were on their show a couple of weeks ago, and actually we're probably going to be recording another show with them on tomorrow night. They're coming to the Charleston area. I'm going to meet up with them, and we're going to talk some marijuana again. So there it is. This is their broadcast link. I will share this one. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. Joey, I'm going to keep that letter open because, like I said, I read a brief draft of it early on before we send it in. I'm going to have to go back and actually do a full reading of it and wrap my head around it. Here is a link I just dropped in here when I was on with them a couple of weeks ago. I think it was just shortly before our press conference. And we should be talking tomorrow night again. We're going to meet local spot here, and hopefully we can record a podcast and see what we're doing. With that, I do want to kind of talk a little bit about what I've done besides the thank you letters, emails, and that was I've reached out to both the ACLU of South Carolina and Marijuana Policy Project. If I'd gone into this a little bit earlier, two things I really want to focus on with ACLU, because I know a couple of their people are based right here in Charleston, and Helen Rema, who spoke for us on last Wednesday, is again here in the Charleston area, and they are focused a lot on the city of Charleston statistics on arrest and such like that. So my hope is to work with them. Specifically here in Charleston, I'm bobbing my head back and forth because I've heard some whispers about possibly Charleston County action, but move forward with trying to make some connections and drafting some proposals for decriminalization ordinances here in the city or county. So I did kind of reach out to them earlier today. I'm waiting to hear back to try and schedule a chat. I've copied Kevin Caldwell on that as well from MPP, because I want to start working with Kevin on helping to collect these stories, find out what they're doing with that 20-second deadline, and where we can go, because the 20-second ain't going to cut it for me. It's going to take us more, I think, to start really collecting some stories concentrated here in South Carolina. The story that I talked about at the press conference, Nick Stimson, that took about 2 years of promoting cruel consequences here in South Carolina until we finally got that one story. So I think we might have some better luck as we reach out to some of the future ones. But again, a deadline of the 22nd just isn't going to give us enough time to collect enough stories. I think we're going to need an ongoing sort of collection process for a little while. And that's where I'm hoping the one-on-one type Zoom calls, interview calls will maybe do the trick. Another thing we're also doing, talking about those interview calls, I did reach out to Vaughn, who's kind of formatting these for me, working on formatting these, is another version of a one-on-one with candidates. When we were at the State House the other day, I got 2 of them, but I got some candidates handed me in some of their information and acknowledging that they were pro-cannabis legislation candidates. And then there was also a couple that I had known that are candidates. Judd Larkin is a good example up in 2nd South Carolina District. who's again pro-cannabis. He was there. He was actually standing in the background with us during the press conference. So we want to start collecting candidate information for our Smoke the Vote voter guide. I don't remember the exact date. I want to say June 11th is primary election day, with June 28th as the runoff date. It's something like that. It's early June, and I want to say I'm pretty sure it's the 11th will be primary day. So let me go ahead and real quick grab the link for our candidate forum, and that's when, again, we're going to start hitting pretty heavy in the next couple of weeks to try and gather some of this information. This is going to be coming directly to me in the long run, and I will be working, hopefully find somebody on the team to help me with aggregating this information into the Smoke the Vote guide. But what this candidate information form is going to do is go through and ask them what their candidate name is, their contact info, what office they're seeking, what political party they're in. Are they seeking an endorsement from South Carolina NORML? Their web address, best point of contact, and next is, it goes on from there. I just can't see the rest of the form. I have to get into the edit view. But anyway, so that's our next other push, is looking to decrim Charleston, working with the crew at South Carolina ACLU, because again, they're up in the Capitol pretty regularly. I know one of the fellows was up in Orangeburg. If we could do stepping stones like Charleston, Orangeburg, Columbia, or even Charleston, Columbia, back to Orangeburg, I don't care how we do it. We just need to start finding some folks to get able to find the right contacts to be able to propose these ordinances in these different municipalities. I'm hoping, like I say, they can kind of get my foot in the door on a couple here in Charleston and get us moving here. I do want to reach out to Myrtle Beach, Johnny McCoy, Attorney McCoy up in Myrtle Beach. He may be able to, I know he proposed a decrim bill there. I don't know where it went, what's going on with it. So I do want to follow up, because I think that's another municipality that I think we might have an opportunity to address.
I think Columbia would be a good one too.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. And I think we'd have a shot at Columbia as well as Charleston. So those are two of the first I'd like to look at. I always kind of think small would be better, but Columbia and Charleston are a little bit more liberal politically. So I don't mean that in a bad way, hopefully. But when it comes to supporting cannabis, it tends to be, unfortunately, for the voters, a nonpartisan issue. For the legislators, a partisan issue. Fuck me. A good point. That's another thing I want to start talking to ACLU is, how do we kind of document all these arrests? Who these people are that have done time? How can we put their faces to it? And that's going to be part of the gathering of the stories. And that's part of why I want to do a Zoom type meeting. If they're willing to put their face on it. Again, that's going to be a challenge. Some of these people are going to go, no, I'm not going to I've already been in trouble for it once. I'm not going to, taunt them with a donut and try and get them to come back for me again. And unfortunately, like I say, that's the way a lot of us kind of have to look at it, is that you're sort of, if you open your mouth in South Carolina about marijuana, you could be sticking your neck out. I figure I got nothing I'm worried about, so I stick my neck out all the time.
we can get those meetings with people that are willing to talk that are in jail currently, because everything's done over the internet now. Like even their face-to-face meetings, is over a computer. Like no one goes into the jailhouse to see anybody anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how all those go. I know I see on TV, you got to collect phone calls. I don't know how you do a collective Zoom meeting with them. I'm assuming they wouldn't let you just have a chat with them for free. The government's all about revenue generation. Has anybody been through that process on the call that knows more about it?
Yeah, I've been on both sides. All you gotta do is just make a request, or you, if you know somebody you want to talk to, you can make the request too. So either the person that's locked up could request, or someone on the outside, and you just put in the request, and they set up an appointment, and then you just log on, and they go to their little station on the inside, and you have your conversation.
Okay, so they log on to whatever system that they're using. It wouldn't be like our Zoom system.
No.
That's why I'm not curious, because I just wondering about recording it and things like that, how that would work. I know how to record on Zoom. I don't know how to record. Anyway, that's something definitely worth looking into, because that would be a great face to our story. People that are in prison. I mean, we know a lot of the story doesn't stop when they get out of prison. Those consequences follow them. But that to me would be very impactful, is to have somebody in there, prison where, in the heat of being in prison, tell their story, what happened, and then being able to maybe follow that story down the line as they get out, and add to that if we were able to down the line. That could be very interesting. So again, that's one of the things I do want to kind of bring up with ACLU, to see what resources they might have to help us gather that information, or reach out to folks that may want to interview with us like that. Excellent suggestion. Let me read what you wrote here. Yeah, okay, I did read that comment. Okay. I didn't write anything down, so let me just look if I covered. Oh, I did have a couple little notes scribbled. No, I kind of covered most of what I wanted to sort of hit on today. The other thing we do a lot of times talk about, what's on the agenda, is coming events, what's next. And we have been talking a little bit about what's next. We don't have any scheduled events planned. I'm starting to think, we're 2 months from 420. It would probably be April 23rd is the following Saturday. We don't have resources at this point to put on any kind of production type of event. My hope would be, as far as it is for now, we have, we're able to set up a table type thing in both Columbia and in Charleston area. Maybe find a local event that we can participate in, that we can get invited, hopefully for little to no cost, to participate in some sort of 420 event that a craft brewery is holding, or something that we can, again, just get out there, hand out brochures, share some of our postcards with people to write to their legislators, maybe sign up a couple of members, sell a t-shirt or two. You never know. But I'm kind of thinking that's probably the extent of an event we're going to be able to hold this particular 420. Is probably just a small tabling event. We've done them over a couple of years ago at one of the small craft breweries. We took along some stickers and things, and sort of they'd let us have a microphone, and every now and again we do a little promo piece about join us. And actually I have a bunch of little tickets, raffle tickets, And so everybody that came in was given a raffle ticket, and I'd call out a raffle number, and people, we had a couple of T-shirts I think we gave away, and we gave away some of our pins and stickers and some of our merch. It was a fun little night. I'm not one for drinking, so I think, probably 2 or 3 hours into it, I was done. Thank y'all for being here. I'm going, and let them stay and have their event. But although I do remember there's some good folks I met at those, and they're still supporters, and I still see them regularly. And then that was a 3-year ago event. Yeah, good event. I want to know more about this Willie Nelson concert, because I would think that we'd be able to set up something there for free. I think they'd comp us some space. I don't know that for sure. I've gotten Slightly Stupid to do it for us twice when they've been here in the Charleston area. They let us set up a booth and give away or sell our merch and give away brochures and stuff. I don't see why Willie's wouldn't let us be there. All right, I gotta write myself a note to look into Willie.
Yeah, that concert's going to be up here in the upstate. I think it's April the 24th at the outdoor. It's going to be, I've been there once before. It's up there in Simpsonville. It's a really cool area. It's a little amphitheater. And they got tickets on that sale, not pre-sale, but I don't know who the sponsors or people that own that amphitheater who's putting it on. So you would need to contact somebody in that area, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna reach out to somebody, because that'd be a good place for us to be. I mean, that'd be a lot better than just a local craft brewery or something. That would probably draw a lot more of our supporters too. So I am looking into that.
I think it'd be awesome. The weather and all would be nice and everything, and it's partially covered area. But parking is easy, and I don't know if you can't get straight into the amphitheater, you might be able to have a place there in the area at least. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean that's an idea too. Maybe they set up outside. I don't know. I'll contact them, see what's up with it. Because I gotta say, sometimes being right in the event can be so loud that you really can't advocate. You can't really talk to the people that you want to connect with. We did a couple things. We did I forget the radio station. Some radio station would put it on a rock event. I want to say Rock 95 here in Charleston, whatever the number is. And we set up our booth right next to the rest of the radio DJ's booth and stuff like that. But it was so loud, I couldn't hear anybody. And I'm getting old and hard of hearing anyway. The Slightly Stupid concerts were a little bit better, especially the second year. First year, we were a little bit more in direct line with the sound. The second year, we were kind of back behind a wall that blocked a little bit of the sound.
Yeah, this one is outdoors, so it may not be as bad, but I can scoop the area, take a look at it a little bit closer.
Yeah, no, both of these others were outdoors.
Yeah, and Kyle just put up the information for tickets. I thought that was cool.
Oh, there we go. That's at Ticketmaster. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'll check that out because I see there's some lawn area in the back, and that's kind of what they did with us at Slightly Stupid. They had a couple of vendors and things, and they were all out in the back,
Yeah.
away
Cool.
from.
That'd be it.
And if we can get out there and, like I say, hand out brochures, hand out postcards, say mail them to your legislators, that's our main goal at these events. Is basically engage the community. As you all know, I love to give them the brochures because it includes that freedom card that explains their rights, that they need to keep that with their ID, blah, 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 blah. I don't want people going to jail. I hate people going to jail, especially for weed. So there's that. And then there's the postcards. Mail your legislators, let your legislators know, I don't know how many people actually go and buy the stamps and put the stamps on them and mail them. I don't know how many people are you say, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, and then they're afraid to because they're going to get on a list. Their name's going to go on a list if they mail them damn postcards. So anyway, I'm probably on a list, just so you know, somewhere on a list. But yeah, I like that idea. Okay, I got the ticket link. Ticketmaster ain't going to help me a whole lot. I'll probably need to either reach out to the venue and or Willie Nelson's marketing people to see about that. But yeah, I will definitely look into that because that would be a good way for us to kind of do a 420. Is have us there at a Willie concert. Who's a better name to put on Cannabis than Willie? I mean, there's a lot of good names to put on Cannabis, but I'd enjoy that. Anyway, I'm going to look into that because that sounds like fun. That's a real good suggestion for a 420 event. I don't think I realized he was coming to South Carolina, so perfect. I'll look into that. Hopefully we can make that happen.
Yes, it's all coming together. It's going to be a busy year this year.
I think it is. I think we're going to be, we're going to kind of be making some noise and people are going to notice us. And, I don't know what's going to happen with the medical bill. I really do hope they move it out. Interestingly enough, on that news bit, they mentioned it is an election year. And they're not sure how many legislators are going to want to put their name on this. Now, of course, we like the ones that put their name on it. And we're going to vote for the ones. Well, I'm going to vote for the ones that put their name on marijuana legislation moving forward. I don't really care what side of the aisle on, and that's the dangerous kind of thing. Because good example. I'm here in Nancy's district. I generally don't vote Republican because Republicans don't generally sponsor decriminalization or marijuana legislation, at least not good legislation. And Nancy's got a pretty damn good bill there. It's as good as the MORE Act, if not better, and COA, if not better. We haven't really seen all the COA yet, but the tax rates are relatively low on hers. It does have some restorative justice language in it. It's not a bad bill, not a bad bill at all. And now she's got two opponents, I think. I just heard this past week, Katie Arrington has thrown her hat back in the race for 1st Congressional District of South Carolina, running against Nancy Mace. So the Republicans are running against their own person, a Republican, because of course she sponsored this medical marijuana or this marijuana legislation with restorative justice. So a lot of them are claiming she's not a real Republican. But I mean, for that reason alone, I probably would vote for Nancy. Although there's a lot of other policies and positions she has that I don't agree with. I don't know Arrington's position at all. I'm going to have to start looking into that. And then the Democratic candidate against her is this Dr. Annie Andrews, I want to say, out of Mount Pleasant. And I've repeatedly asked her and her campaign team what their marijuana policy is. And I haven't gotten an answer. I have not gotten an answer. I mean, I've been told, oh, her policies are on such and such a link at one point after weeks of waiting for a response to one of my messages. And I go over to follow the link to her campaign page, and there's absolutely not a word on her marijuana policy. There's other policies that she talks about, her gun policy, and I forget what else. I wasn't really looking. I was looking for marijuana policy because that's what I want to know about. And I vote in that district. I'm a voter in that district. That's a question I have. And I'm just not getting an answer. So, I'm going to need an answer before the generals for sure, from whoever is still in the races by the generals. But yeah, that's where that hopefully the collection of information on our candidate questionnaire will start coming into play. Because we want to kind of know it. And it's an election year. We're going to ask them, what's your position? We're hoping they answer, and we're hoping that they answer in a way that we can give them a good grade. We want to give them an A or a B. Don't really want to give them a C or a D. And an F is really only reserved for those that actually sponsor anti-marijuana legislation. So if they don't actually sponsor anti-marijuana legislation, we can't give them an F. That's just the way the rubric's set up. Anyway, some of them I want to. I just realized I rambled on pretty good tonight. Well, it's 8:17. We've got some stuff to put on our plate here. I definitely got to look into this Willie stuff. Let me scroll back just to see if I've missed anything else. I do want to write. No, I did write down Simpsonville.
Here's a fun fact about Willie Nelson. He was raised and his parents were Southern gospel singers.
So that's how he got kind of that music in his blood, huh? His parents were gospel singers, Southern gospel singers, yeah. A lot of musicians actually get into music, I think, starting in the church.
Well, they didn't have American Idol back then either.
That's true. That's true. I remember with regret sometimes, but I'm guessing, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, and I'm singing in the school choir and stuff like that. And I'm almost thinking about maybe, having a career in music as I move forward. And then my voice changed. That was the end of that dream, like that. I now have a singing voice that people ask me if I can sing solo. Solo, they can't hear me. Can I sing tenor? Tenor 12 miles away. They tell me I should be on the radio so they could turn it off. Okay, that's enough of the dad jokes. But yeah, I used to love singing as a kid. I still like singing. I just don't do it well. And I usually mess up the words, make up my own, and my wife will shake her head.
Hey, let's not overlook those great dance moves you got too.
Uh-oh, when was I dancing that you saw me? Probably up there on Main Street. Yeah. Free marijuana. Yeah, I dance like a white guy too. So, and that's funny too, because I spent I don't know how many years in dance school as a kid. My mother would do. I was the last born, and by that time, I think my mother was just trying to find anything to get the kids out of the house. I was on like 3 bowling leagues a week, and then I went to dancing school too. Mind you, it was tap and acrobats. I didn't really learn ballet or anything like that, but. Yeah, now I have no rhythm and I can't dance to save my life. But I try, and I have a good time with it. Bob Dylan coming to South Carolina in March. I'm going to have to start looking into some of these again. It's like I say, with the COVID, it sort of put a damper on a lot of that stuff. Like I say, we've done Slightly Stupid a couple of times. North Charleston, probably at the Coliseum. That might be something we could even just set up somehow out in the parking lot, outside the building. I don't know how that would work, but yeah, I want to find some of these where we can start getting to the masses. Mind you, I'm watching our bank account kind of dwindle down a little bit after some of our event, and looking. I keep watching Vistaprint, which is where we order our brochures from. I'm like, come on, give me another 40% discount. I get up to 25. I don't think I've had a 30% discount yet. And I just refuse to restock until we get a 40% or more discount. What's this, March 27th and 29th? Is this the one in, it's Dylan, one in North Charleston and Columbia. Well, now, who put that in, Kyle? Yeah, I'm guessing if you want to, somebody would want to kind of get there and set up like they were going to have a tailgate party, and then just never go into the show and just kind of set up a booth. I don't know what they may or may not say about that. Again, depending on the venues, I don't know if they're public property, private property. A lot of arenas are kind of funded by the taxpayers to a good extent. I don't know how some of that would work, but let's talk about that more. Let's see if we can come up with some thoughts on how we can get ourselves at some of these events to. What am I acknowledging? Clear bag policy. I'm kind of looking at this because I really haven't been to a concert in a long time. A long time. Besides, like I say, these couple of slightly stupid concerts or something, and I wasn't really there for the concert. We were, set up in the back. It's all kind of foreign to me anymore. I mean, I think one of the last concerts I was actually at was maybe the late 1970s or early 1980s. It's been a long time since I've been at a concert. They just started getting too crowded. I mean, I saw the band Yes. Many of you may know the band Yes. I saw them at a college field house. A small venue, very small venue. I love telling the story about the first time I ever saw ZZ Top. They were a warm-up band for a group called Chicago. And this was at the local fairground racetrack. Actually, I saw Frank Zappa at the little agricultural hall building next to the racetrack at the fairgrounds. A lot of small venues and a couple of, back at the time, big. I saw Queen as a warm-up band for Mott the Hoople. I saw a couple of these. They ended up becoming very large bands, but I saw them right as they were kind of coming out in the olden days at small venues. And I think the biggest concert hall I've ever been was in Philadelphia, and they've since torn it down because it was too small. But yeah, always generally small events. So I look at some of these things and they kind of freak me out. I've been up to the Coliseum. I don't know if I've ever been in the Coliseum, but I've been up by the Coliseum for some stuff. That's a pretty good sized building. Anyway, I'm pretty sure Bob Dylan smoked weed. He was part of that 60s counterculture. Let's see what we have about Dylan smoking weed here. Yes, he did. He famously turned the Beatles onto marijuana at a private party in a hotel room. They'd encountered it before, but became regular users after Dylan shared a joint with them. Dylan, the gateway musician.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool though. All
That,
these
that
artists.
is. He introduced the Beatles. Well, not introduced, but when he really introduced us to the Beatles. So yes.
Yeah. All right. Telling my age.
Oh, I don't even try and hide mine anymore. Man, my birthday's coming up next month. I'm gonna be 64 years old. I never expected to see 36, let alone 63. All right. We just saw Kyle say goodnight and had to scoot on out. I do see we are coming up on 8:30. I've just been kind of rambling here. We've got some great stuff to look into. Dylan, I got to write down now. We're next to Willie. And we're going to wrap it up because I see folks kind of dropping out, and it is time to kind of go and relax a little bit. So as always, we'll reach out to me if you need to on our social media at Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Don't forget you can always contact us through our webpage at scnormal.org. While you're there at the website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, click on the link to sign up for our newsletter. And don't forget, you can also subscribe to watch these videos on on our YouTube channel in case you missed joining us here. That's all I have for you tonight. I will be back again next Wednesday night. We'll come up with a good topic for you, and we'll announce it probably Tuesday morning. But that's it for me. We're going to kind of call it a night and wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me. I always appreciate you being here with me.